is on the contract. We're going to actually do each paragraph as a standalone session. So some of them are going to go pretty quickly and some will take a little longer based on the materials covered in that paragraph. So we're going to start with paragraph 1, but before we start, there's a couple of things we want to remind you is to always make sure you're using the right contract. I would say probably 90% of the contracts that you're going to be using are the 1 to 4 family contracts. But remember, there are other contracts for land, new home complete, new home incomplete, condominiums, but farm and ranch, but probably you're going to use the condos and the 1 to 4. And more than likely, the 1 to 4 is going to be the dominant contract that you're going to be using. I think it's a good idea before you start writing the contract that you have either a copy of the tax records and a copy of the MLS printout, or have access to those 2 items so that you know what commission you can expect to receive, and then you would include that on page 9, and then also so that you have a good legal description of the property. So, all right, this first one's going to be pretty quick because it's a very short paragraph. Paragraph 1, this is where we define the parties to the contract. So we can just read that. Parties, the parties to the contract are, and then you put the names of the sellers, and then you put the names of the buyers. Then it goes on to say that the seller agrees to sell and convey to the buyer, and the buyer agrees to buy from the seller the property defined below. So you remember back when you took your contracts class to get your license, and we talked about one of the items that you needed in a contract was that consideration, and there's your consideration. One party says they're going to sell it, the other party says they're going to buy it. With regards to the information that you put in there, typically the buyer's agent is going to be starting out the process. You probably want to check with your buyers and ask them the question, what names do you want on the contract? Because that's what the title company is going to use to prepare the deed and things like that. So you probably want to make sure you're using their names, their legal names. You don't want to give them any advice as far as how to take ownership of a property. That's another one of those things that you learned in school: tenancy in common, joint tenancy, tenancy by the entirety. Just fill out the contract. Don't worry about that. If they have a question, you just refer them to the title company, but don't tell them how to take title to property. And my friends, that's the end of paragraph 1. So that was pretty quick. Thanks for attending. We'll see you in paragraph 2.